Death sentences for more than 500 people in one verdict. It sounds too extreme to be true, but it happened in Egypt. And it's a decision being condemned by legal and rights groups around the world.
The accused are Muslim Brotherhood supporters convicted of killing a policeman last August, along with other violence. VOA Cairo correspondent Elizabeth Arrott says the case reflects Egypt's deep divisions.
Right, and Imran, I talked to Elizabeth about this verdict, and here's a clip from our conversation. Elizabeth, really big story that we've seen recently coming out of Egypt, this sentencing of 529 people to death. What's been the response among Egyptians to this and to really what's been a widespread crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood?
Was very, very mixed, much like Egypt itself, very divided between those who approve of what the government has done since the ousting of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi of the Brotherhood last year, and this massive, massive crackdown. Largely supportive, saying good for the judiciary to act so quickly and get, put people in their place. And of course, then from the other side, not just Muslim Brotherhood supporters, but even members of Egypt's judiciary who look at this case and other cases, but particularly this one, how quickly, with any lack of defense representation after just, in the second session to come down with these verdicts, really appalled and outraged.
In Cairo, where support remains strong for the crackdown against supporters of ousted President and Brotherhood figure Mohamed Morsi, many were pleased with the decision.
This is good because it is the first time we see our judges act so quickly, because this was the second session.
But such swift action against Morsi supporters, compared to the dragged-out cases of pre-revolutionary officials, left others angry.
So
why hasn't Mubarak been given the death penalty? Why hasn't al-Adli been given the death penalty?
And generally speaking, how are members of the Muslim Brotherhood being treated right now in Egypt by the government?
Well, of course, they did label late last year the organization a terrorist organization. So it's very, very difficult. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of Muslim Brotherhood members in jail. A lot of the people have not come to court, so they're sort of languishing at this point. Protests are very, very difficult to organize. They still do come out, but it's not in the numbers we saw right after all of this came. And part of it's because they're backed up. Part of it is by legal restrictions on gatherings, but also just that there is a certain sense of futility of just by protest, and it's very difficult to figure out where this will go next.
Yeah, and this has to raise a lot of questions among the international community as well. How have other countries responded?
Oh, we've seen sort of condemnation across the board. It's not clear what can actually be done. The U.S. says it will look at its aid policy in relation to that, but they did qualify that on whether or not these sentences will be carried out. And it should be noted, nobody really does think that they will be, actually, at least certainly not all 530 be carried out. Most were tried in absentia, but the absolute legal sketchiness on which it was based probably will not stand on appeal.
Right, and so the military government has obviously been focusing a lot on targeting the Muslim Brotherhood, but what are some of the other challenges? I mean, is this really enough for them to hold on to power in the way they've been trying to?
It certainly is a major challenge trying to keep all, not just the Muslim Brotherhood, but other opposition at bay, and they're putting so much effort into that. But as we saw when Sisi announced his presidency, he asked for patience, he said he's not a miracle worker, and that actually might be even more of a challenge for him. By this summer, in the next couple of months, when it gets hotter and there's less electricity, there is a huge shortage of liquefied natural gas and other fuel.
Yeah, and when you see that, and when you see conditions having worsened, that also has to raise a strong question about whether this democratic transition has been successful. Did it really succeed in the way that it was hoped? And so, I mean, you're living it. So what would you say?
Well, I think if you go back to the original cry of the 2011 revolution, bread, freedom, dignity, and really on all three counts, there has not been market improvement. I mean, I think, suppose in some terms, dignity, people do feel the right that they're able to come out and speak, and And that has helped a lot, even though, of course, for a large segment, that's slipped back since then. But the basic demands of the revolution have not been met by I think, by anybody's count.
And thanks, as always, to Elizabeth Arrott in Cairo. Now, in what Human Rights Watch is calling one more nail in the coffin for Egypt's revolution, an appeals court has upheld the sentences of 3 liberal leaders of the 2011 uprising.